Hello everyone and welcome back to the third episode of Kickoff Conversations. My name is Zach.
My name is Jaden.
And today we are going over everything football from the divisional round, and we will be talking about the championship round starting next Sunday.
99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
So our first game here that we had on Saturday was the Texans taking on the Chiefs in Arrowhead. And of course, the Chiefs went on to take that one, the number one seed. Zach's team right there. Travis Kelce was really the standout in this game to me, having another great game in the playoffs, as he always does every single year. Had 7 catches for 117 yards, as well as a touchdown. And then over on the Houston side, Joe Mixon there, 18 carries, 100 scrimmage yards, 88 of those came on the ground. And the Texans had a pretty good year. They won the playoff game, as we predicted against them. And I think most of the world really did predict against them. But they went out, they did it without some key players, so all around a pretty good season for the Texans.
Of course, and I think Houston had a great year, being out Stephon Diggs, their main acquisition over the offseason, and then Tank Dell for the whole playoffs. I think they had a good run. They'll be a team to watch next year for sure. But, I thought this game was it wasn't over from the start, but, that huge kick return from Kansas City to start the game, it really got the crowd up and going. Yeah. And, I kind of knew all the way Kansas City was going to take it.
Yep. Houston made a bit of a mini run there. They got the field goal and the touchdown, but ultimately missed that extra point on the Joe Mixon touchdown. And, yeah, that would have been the tie game.
Could have been a tie game, yep.
But didn't really do much from there. Ended up getting a safety at the end of the game. Rare safety.
Yeah.
But
it was a great play by Andy Reid, though, to call that.
It was.
For sure.
But, yeah, Chiefs take that one.
Yep. And the next game we've got a shocker. The Washington Commanders beating, and I mean beating, the Detroit Lions 45-31 in what was a surprise to pretty much everyone. Jaden Daniels came out here and he was slinging it. He was 22 for 31 with almost 300 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Jared Goff on the other side, 23 for 40 with 3 interceptions, including a pick 6.
Yeah, you really just can't have this kind of performance from your quarterback, especially not one who's been as consistent as Jared Goff has been over the past 3 years, honestly. And the Lions just had a bit of an embarrassing showing, to be honest, giving up 45 points to the Commanders and only scoring 31. When I thought the Lions' identity coming into this game was honestly going to be their defense. We talked about it last week. The Commanders' defense was amazing, in my opinion. Though 31 points, you will obviously think, they're not that good. But they picked off Jared Goff 3 times, and they forced a total of 5 turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. And key players in this game being Jahmyr Gibbs, who had 2 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 137 yards in the air. And on Washington's side, you had Brian Robinson for 77 rushing yards, and Diami Brown with 98 receiving yards on 6 catches.
Yeah,
what a day from him.
He was honestly a surprising player to me. They kept leaving him open. He kept catching these slightly deep targets. He was taking it after the catch. He had a really, really good game, and I'm excited to see what he can do against Philly.
Absolutely, and he might have emerged as that wide receiver too that Washington's been needing.
The first game on the Sunday slate was the Rams heading into Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, and the Eagles went on to take this one in a 1-possession game by 6 points. Standout players in this one, we had Higbee caught a touchdown. Puka Nacua does his thing, of course, 97 yards on a plethora of catches. He had 6 receptions. And then Kyron Williams had 105 total yards in this game. Honestly, just, kind of what most people expected, not me. I picked the Rams to win this one, unfortunately. I don't know, I was feeling risky, I guess.
I did pick the Rams as well, but I did message Jaden on Saturday afternoon saying I am changing my pick to the Philadelphia Eagles because I saw a stat saying that Matthew Stafford was 1-8 in the snow and rain in his career. And I was like, you know what? It's got to continue, and unfortunately it did. I would have loved to have seen the Rams advance. This game looked over after Saquon had the 70-yard touchdown with just over 4 minutes left in the game, and Philly was up by 2 scores. And the Rams were about 25 yards away from tying and potentially a PAT away from taking the lead in this one.
Yeah, not really sure what happened there. They were honestly marching down the field. It looked to me like they were going to get it done. And then just some bad decisions from the Rams on that end.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford on fourth and
15.
Fourth and long. He just threw it out of bounds.
Yeah.
So obviously the stat that Zach saw of 1-8 in the snow, it's for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just not great from the Rams, but not bad either.
It's also something to look at for Washington is when the Rams were on their their fast-paced drives, just getting up to the line, snapping it, getting a playoff. The Eagles had a lot of trouble on defense with that stuff. So if you're Washington, you got to look out for something like that. Maybe,
You could possibly catch the defense off guard when you're just kind of marching and doing no huddles and just kind of calling it on the fly.
That D-line looked tired a lot of the game.
They got some big boys on that D-line, so, it's hard for them to kind of retain that energy and just keep on moving and moving and moving when you're constantly just putting the ball down and then snapping it right away. So if the Commanders can do that, they might be able to walk them out of there, but I think that's going to be another great game. I think both of the championship games are going to be amazing.
Absolutely. And the final game of the divisional round weekend was the Baltimore Ravens heading into Buffalo and losing to the Buffalo Bills 27-25. They were a yard away from tying it, and Mark Andrews just couldn't catch it. It was devastating to see. I would have loved to see that game go into overtime. Not saying that it would have, because Josh Allen would have had a minute 32 timeouts. Very well, he could have gone and gotten a field goal. But it was a great game all around. The Ravens they really beat themselves in this one.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I think Lamar Jackson actually played an excellent game. He had the early interception, but turned it around right from there. 254 yards on 18 completions, 2 passing touchdowns, only 39 yards on the ground, but he didn't really have much room to run. They were kind of holding him down there. It was a pretty good way to defend Lamar Jackson, honestly, if I'm being real here. But Derrick Henry, they couldn't really stop him on the ground. 84 yards, had a few big rushes there too, as well as his backup, Justice Hill, had many big runs. He had 50 rushing yards, on 6 carries, and his first 5 carries he was averaging 10 per carry.
Yeah.
So they were just having trouble stopping the running backs, but they did a good job at containing Lamar. Isaiah Likely was good. Rashad Bateman was pretty good. But yeah, and then over on the Buffalo side, Josh Allen, 127 passing yards, but 2 rushing touchdowns, only 1 sack taken as well. James Cook had 82 scrimmage yards, and Khalil Shakir had 67 caught. But, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, if you're looking at Josh Allen in this game, I mean, they ended up winning, but I don't really think that Josh Allen played his best in this game, and he's got to play better next weekend if he wants to take down the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Chiefs.
Yeah, you don't beat the Chiefs by passing for 127 yards.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to run it on their head because they have a very, very good defense, the Chiefs do. You're not going to be able to just run into the end zone and dive into the end zone. Like, they're going to be going for you. They're going to, try and draw blood. They want to kill every time they see somebody with a football. They're trying to kill them.
Exactly. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, one of them a 4-yard scramble run, and the other tush push. So, I mean, not the best day from Allen. I think Lamar did outplay him, even though he had the interception and the fumble. Lamar's got to hold on to that ball, in my opinion, getting tackled by DeMar Hamlin there. And then that really, if one of these 3 things don't happen, I feel like the Ravens win this game. One, the Mark Andrews fumble. 2, the Lamar Jackson fumble. And 3, the Lamar Jackson interception, which was a miscommunication between him and Rashad Bateman. So that's both of their faults, I guess you could say. But yeah, if one of those 3 things don't happen, I think Baltimore would have won this game.
And at the end of the day, right, I was thinking about this towards the end of the game. So they went on to make it I believe it was a 2-point game, right, I forget what mark the actual score was at the time when it was a 2-point game, but they went for 2 to try and tie the game. Now, if they would have just kicked that extra point, you're down 1. They end up losing this game by 2 because they had to go for 2 twice. But if you just kick both of those extra points, then you end up in a tie game, overtime situation. So
that was when it was at 21-19.
Yes, thank you. But I just think, sometimes trying to tie it up immediately is maybe not the best move to go for. It's okay to be down by 1 because you get the ball back. You can still make it a 3-point game. And if they kick a field goal and you're still down by 1, now it's a 4-point game. You have to score a touchdown. I feel like you have to score a touchdown either way.
Yeah.
So I just feel like the decision should have been to kick the extra point and make it 21-20. Have some confidence in your team that you're going to go down and score another touchdown.
Yeah, fair enough. First play we've got here is the Sam Laporta touchdown. from Jared Goff. It was the Lions' second touchdown of the game. This is just an incredible. Goff is falling down. Laporta one-handed grab. Whew.
What a play from one of the best tight ends in the league, honestly.
Yep.
And he had a really, really good season, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just sell it. Oh, they're burying him.
They're
digging him up. They're digging him up.
Put him in a great. All right.
Came
Fair
back
enough.
to life. But yeah, you'll see the replay here. Goff, given a bit of time, but you can see the defender right there. Just, oh, wow.
That's a heck of a play by
That's
Laporta,
a
man.
beautiful ball.
And that throw by Goff is something that we see out of a guy like Patrick Mahomes.
Are you serious, my brother?
This was the turning point of the Washington and the Lions game right here. It was 17-14 at this moment. Goff steps back to throw. He's looking. He throws, but it's caught by the wrong team. Quan Martin is going to take this one. He's going to break a tackle there. He's going to outrun everybody. Goff goes flying there, and Quan Martin's going to blow the game open right there with a touchdown. I think that was about the turning point where everybody was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that should have been a penalty on the Commanders for a head-to-head contact, but, like, I mean, whatever. That was another call that a lot of people got upset about, but they don't call it. It's not a penalty. Nothing you can do about it.
Refs can't do no right.
Great play by Quan Martin there, and as you said, that was the turning point for Washington. And here we go, our third play from this Lions-Commanders game. This game was packed with insane plays. It's Teddy Bridgewater handing it off to Jahmyr Gibbs, and look at that block by Bridgewater. And J-Mo, one of the fastest guys in the league, he's gone. He's still about 20 yards out, and he's putting the ball up. And then the celebration is great. Oh, they didn't even show the celebration. Anyways, an incredible end around. Just great blocks by Detroit. You see Amon-Ra getting his man up there.
And these are things that Dan Campbell just loves to do, these trick plays, where, you hand it off to one guy, you flip it to another guy, and then that guy's either going to do a flea flicker play, he's going to throw it downfield. We saw Amon-Ra St. Brown do that this season.
And it also could be the thing that kills you, like it was in this game, where J-Mo threw an interception.
Exactly. So he's a risky head coach who has ballsy, risky players, and they live by it or they die by it, as we saw.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, exactly. Here we got a play from Rams versus Eagles. In the snow, as you can see, backed up in their own territory. Saquon Barkley's going to take off. He doesn't care about the snow. He's got cleats, and he is going to unhook the trailer. He's smacking himself on the head right there. He's hyped. And this is where everybody thought it was kind of over.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Rams would come storm down and make it a tad bit competitive. But this was ultimately the game winner, the dagger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what a game by Saquon Barkley. He had two 60-plus yard rushing touchdowns. This one's for 78. Had 200 yards on the day. Just, I mean, how did the Giants not re-sign this guy?
Right. And I know me and you were talking about it yesterday, I think. If it's not for Lamar Jackson, this guy might be the MVP.
Yeah.
Honestly. If it was not for Allen and Lamar being in that, 1A, 1B conversation and it being labeled as a quarterback award, I think Barkley would, be the best player in the NFL, would be the MVP ultimately.
He's hitting himself in the head. Ken Giles vibes.
Yeah.
And this is a touchdown that led up to the drop 2-point conversion by Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson has all the time in the world. I mean...
Yeah, he had days to throw this ball, and he made the most of it. He finds Likely right there in the end zone. And might be controversial, might be a hot take. Call me a casual if you want to call me a casual. I watch the North a lot. I watch all the teams that play in the AFC North. I like Isaiah Likely better than Mark Andrews. I don't care. I like Isaiah Likely better than Mark Andrews this year. I will say previous years, Andrews has obviously been better. Andrews is obviously the more decorated player. But this year, I liked Likely a lot more than I liked Andrews, especially when he stepped in earlier in the season when Andrews was kind of having it rough.
Would you say he'd be likely to be the Ravens starter next year?
I think it is very likely that he is the Ravens starter next year. I think Mark Andrews is either going to take a backup role or he's going to find a new team.
Interesting.
Our first game on Sunday will be the Commanders heading into Philadelphia, coming off of 2 road playoff wins. And in their last 4 road games, including the playoffs, they are 4-0. Their only loss before that, the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to be taking the Eagles to close this one out once again against the Commanders at home.
I agree with you. I think that the Eagles will be able to pull this one off. I mean, I haven't picked the Commanders all playoffs, and they've just been able to pull it off. So maybe they do pull off an upset. I think that'd be a crazy cool story for Jaden Daniels to go to the Super Bowl after the Commanders being 4-13 last year. That'd be the most unbelievable turnaround of all time.
It was an amazing turnaround just at the start of the season. Dan Quinn coming in as head coach, and then Jaden Daniels obviously stepping in, being one of the greatest rookie quarterbacks of all time. He's only the second rookie quarterback to beat a 1 seed in the playoffs since Joe Flacco did it. And then that year, we know what happened for the Ravens. So, yeah, maybe.
In their previous matchups, Washington won on December 22nd, 36-33. Keep in mind, though, Jalen Hurts exited the game in the first quarter with a concussion. And in the other meeting on November 14th, the Eagles beat the Commanders. So they are 1-1 against each other this year. I think we are set up for a great game.
I would agree with that.
And next, the AFC Championship game, where my Kansas City Chiefs will be taking on the Buffalo Bills at Arrowhead Stadium. Some key potential injuries for this game are Christian Benford and Taylor Rapp for the Buffalo defense. Both are questionable. Benford is in concussion protocol, and Taylor Rapp is questionable with a hip injury. And McCole Hardman, who has been questionable pretty much all year for us, is still questionable with a knee injury. This game is going to come down to a single turnover. Both of these quarterbacks have not turned the ball over yet these playoffs, so it's going to be interesting to see if one team does turn the ball over, and I feel like that could be the key part in the game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Obviously, during the season, Mahomes was having some turnover trouble, but once it gets to the playoffs, he's just a different beast. Like, we've seen this in previous years as well, where he kind of has maybe a slow start or a slow finish to the season, and then he just turns up once it gets to the playoffs. Honestly, he's starting to look like a whole different player these playoffs, especially with Travis Kelce returning back to form as well. Like, during the season, Kelce wasn't who he was supposed to be, but once you get to the playoffs, that dynamic duo turns into something different. And Josh Allen as well, during the regular season, didn't struggle with turnovers whatsoever. Barely threw any interceptions. I believe he had 3 or 4 on the season.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Buffalo has been really, really good at taking care of the ball, so I agree with you. It could just come down to one turnover, who's going to take it, but I'm going to predict that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to return to the Super Bowl, and they will face off against the Philadelphia Eagles.
I agree with you. I'm obviously going to go with my Chiefs. I think it'll be a rematch of the 2022 Super Bowl. But for the Chiefs to win this game, they're going to have to contain Josh Allen. Baltimore did a really good job. They held him to 20 yards on 10 rushes on Sunday night. The Chiefs are also going to have to capitalize in the red zone, only going 2 for 5 with 3 field goals in the red zone last week against the Texans. And they're going to need to get the rushing game involved. You got to get Pacheco back in there, who only had about 20 yards. Kareem Hunt only had about 40. Obviously, the pass game is working, but if Buffalo can lock that down, you're going to have to be able to get Hunt and Pacheco involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of got to work with what you got as well. Some forced plays that are going on, leading to incompletions. Yeah, Kareem Hunt's an excellent running back. I think they got to definitely give him more opportunities to run that ball, as well as Isaiah Pacheco. I know they're maybe trying to be a little bit careful since he's coming off of injury, but I feel like it's been long enough now where you can kind of really let him go.
Absolutely. And for the Bills side, they went 3 for 4 in the red zone. Their other possession ended in the field goal for Baltimore. And they're going to have to lock down the Chiefs' O-line. Kansas City had 8 sacks last week, including 3 from George Karlaftis, the third year. I don't know where he went to college, but... And the Bills... They went 5 for 11 on third down last week. The Chiefs went 4 for 11. So pretty even on both sides. Both teams are obviously going to have to be better, though, on third and fourth downs. And the weather projected for the game will be around freezing. It'll be negative 1 degree Celsius, 29 degrees Fahrenheit. So we will see how this game pans out. Hopefully my Chiefs win it. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Kickoff Conversations. Tune in next week. We'll do Pro Bowl and award predictions.
My name's Zach.
And as always, my name is Jaden.
We'll see you next week. See ya.